That's Mike.
That's Toya, and this is Tech Beats and Bytes. How are you doing today, LaToya? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Why are you talking so low?
I'm talking low? I think it's because we got all this ambient music in the background.
Can you hear the music? Oh, okay. Just making sure. All right, so this is our end of the year episode where we kind of do a recap. We are shutting down early because we're tired. 2019 was challenging, and we decided to do a mid-season break. Are we at episode 7 or 8, Dante? Is this 8, 7 now?
Didn't he say 18 the other day? What?
For the season.
Oh, something. 10.
Oh, we almost did a full season.
Yeah.
It don't matter. We don't get paid by nobody anymore anyway, so we're doing this for ourselves and just to educate other people. But
and because it's fun.
Yeah, we definitely love it. We always learn something. This is kind of like our meetings without having meetings. So this is our company meeting.
Valid.
But we had some things that we wanted to discuss and wanted to close out the season with, but we're still going to give you some basic information and go through our normal things. So in the tech side of things, Disney Plus debut just didn't work out.
No.
Not how they thought it was going to work out.
No.
So Disney Plus officially launched on November 12th in the U.S., and its initial 10 million subscribers were hit with a series of outages. Per the company, this was a result of high demand. Like, didn't you expect the high demand? Wasn't the whole thing to be prepared for the success? Okay, but the way the app was architected by the engineers, so got to find somebody to blame it on. Leading up to the launch, Disney executives thought that they were all prepared after years of handling big streams like the Game of Thrones, premieres and finales. New subscribers couldn't log in. That would be a problem. If they did log in, streaming was practically impossible. If you ever seen that, it's the jagged element of moving really slow and things not, it's called buffering.
Right.
Customers thought the issues was with Amazon and third-party platforms trying to block and hate, but Disney has confirmed that the problem was on their end. Congratulations to Disney accepting the blame.
Right, fall on that sword.
Right, like, say it was your fault.
Go ahead.
Additional problems such as glitches affecting where a movie pickup from where a person clicks continue watching. So I guess you just had to start watching the whole movie over again. Who doesn't want to see Cinderella all over from the beginning?
Right.
So Disney runs on BAM technology, which is a streaming service that saved Game of Thrones when HBO Now customers experience streaming problems, because those are the people you don't want to piss off. Game of Thrones fans, the GOATs, are real serious about that. BAMTech also used to host Major League Baseball digital services. I didn't know that many people watch baseball. And Kevin Mayer, head of Disney's direct-to-consumer division, said he hopes they will have a technology platform just as strong as other streaming competitors within a couple of years.
So pause. How you gonna jump into streaming and then be like, wait, y'all, we testing it out for like 2 years until we get our tech ready? Listen.
So he didn't say they were gonna have this fix in a couple of months.
Right.
He straight up said we will fix it in a couple of years.
Yeah, I was here for the memes. The memes that were going around were hilarious. I haven't gotten into Disney Plus yet, but I did cut the cable cord 2 weeks ago, and I'm happy about that. But yeah, so I'm,
Well, I heard that you were supposed to get it for free with Verizon.
Yeah, I'm not on Verizon.
I am, and I still don't have it for free. So I don't know what's good. Oh, we don't have an unlimited plan?
Won't.
I'd be unlimitedly using it. I definitely thought that plan was unlimited. By the way, just so you guys know, we're here with our business partner, Gail, and we're at Sips, the beautiful Sips, and we're actually about to order. Gail, can TT get us some pumpkin spice lattes?
And I want a chai latte.
So we're going to get a chai latte and a pumpkin spice, and then I'm going to get a beer. Doesn't go together at all.
I was going to say, that's going to be real nasty. That's like brushing your teeth and drinking orange juice. That's going to be gross.
I'm going to sip the pumpkin spice. That's for nostalgia. So we'll make it work. So moving along, Google is listening, as if we didn't know that.
Right.
Google is providing us with a service for Google Assistant called Your News Update. Pretty much tech beats and bites with a horrible voice and not as much comedy. The service takes the concept of using an algorithm to determine news feed, basically what they think you want to hear or what information they're stealing off of your Facebook page because these are the things you like and comment on. And then they turn this into an audio stream. So now you're not just going to hear your ignorance or read your ignorance. You're going to have to hear it from a Google playback machine. To play it, you just ask your Google Smart to speak or assistant on your phone to listen to the news. Google uses info that it has collected about you, not that they take any. I wonder how this works with advertisement. Plus your location to build a custom series of short news update. It will provide topic-specific news bites from Google News partners. Google has licensed audio from a variety of news sources, including ABC, Cheddar, Associated Press, CNN, which I'm sure CNN probably sounds like this. Trump is definitely going to jail after this impeachment here. That's probably what your CNN feed would sound like right now. Fox News Radio, which probably sounds like, okay, you have all the evidence. You had about 13 people confess that they knew exactly what the quid pro quo was, but he didn't do anything wrong. Like, who doesn't do this as a president? And then PBS, which would sound like we want to remain neutral, but he's doing something wrong. Reuters, WYNC, and a bunch of local radio stations.
Oh, that's fun.
It can identify the content of those outlets, news stories, by reading specific metadata, again, collection of content they create for their stories, and by using its computers to listen to the stories themselves.
So I'm actually here for it because for those of us who, maybe have kids and you got to do other stuff and you can't sit down and read all the time, you'd be like, Google, play the news. I was actually just thinking about that today because I've seen commercials for it, and I was like, that'll be really helpful, especially now that I no longer have cable, right? So new local news sources, Amazon, because we have a Fire Stick, so Amazon has news where it aggregates it from different.
Fire Stick has made it to the garage. I don't use it that much anymore.
Oh, well, we love it. So they have an aggregated news thing where you can sort of pick your different news channels, and then you could watch the news that way. So if I could have one, that works kind of like the same way. So that's cool. I'm here for it.
So I'm just wondering, though, what happens when you get into that, like, rabbit hole of a night situation where you just start looking up a whole bunch of random stuff? What will your news sound like the next day?
The randomness that you were searching for?
Like, this morning I would have been hearing about unnecessary rap battles because
that's what you were on.
Yesterday I was just listening to all the bars on rap battles. I don't know if I'm going to wake up.
You needed inspiration for the day? What was that?
I'm going to wake up and hear the whole Lux Loaded dropping bars. So that's going to be interesting. So, guys, the news right now, and besides that, just so you know, Ford, I don't know who owns a Ford out there still, but Ford is coming out with a $37,000, which is actually $44,000, but you get the $76,000 tax credit. Mustang SUV.
Oh, okay.
So it has the Mustang headlights. What
is that going to look like?
A that Mustang almost with sounds 4 ugly. Doors.
That almost sounds ugly.
To me, I'm weary because it could be great or it could be horrible.
I just see it like with the short, you know what I mean? It looks almost like a Chihuahua. Sometimes cars.
Chihuahua.
I had a Chihuahua. I love them. But I'm saying, sometimes cars, they look like things. So I just see like the little short, I just think that's ugly. I don't know. But that's great. I can't wait to see what it looks like. I
would say if you were in the focus group, I'm not taking your comments of something I'm looking forward to. I don't know. It looks going to look like a Chihuahua with 4 doors and a powerful engine.
Right, but you know how sometimes grills on cars, they like make them, they look a little weird sometimes. Whatever. As I watch these cars drive by, I'm trying to find an example.
You're not going to find one because you don't know what it's going to look like.
No, I'm saying like, where you see it and it's like.
It's an electric vehicle.
Yeah, it's called them. It's the Mach E.
That's
another thing.
Oh, look, that's a highlight. Talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the whole point of me saying it. That's why you get the tax credit.
Uh-huh.
So you get the tax credit because it's.
And that's why Tesla was the next point.
Right. So the next point is, how do you Tesla your brand?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about it. You make something really desirable, you build it up. But see, Ford, I don't know if they did it the right way, because Ford is always known to be practical and affordable. So you got to think back in the Ford and Corvette days. The Ford Mustang was always cheap. The Corvette was always like a 3X car. Whatever the Mustang was going for,
Right.
the Corvette, and now you got the mid-body engine Corvette that's coming out in 2020 that's already been voted car of the year. So you got all these things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But normally, so when you Tesla your brand, you start off with something that's very exclusive, very hard to get, very expensive. That was the Tesla Roadster that was built on the Lotus model. Then you went to the Tesla S model. And once you put rims on that, that was about $100,000. Then you went to the Tesla X. Tesla X was definitely $100,000 plus without the rims. Then now you have this high desirable brand, which by the way, if people don't remember this, Musk was trying to make his whole line spell out sex.
Right.
So it wasn't supposed to be the Tesla 3, it was supposed to be the Tesla E, but he got shut down by Mercedes and other people. It was like, no, you can't do E-Class.
Right. We got that already.
We got
Sorry.
shut that down. So now you have the $35,000 car. So you build a high-end brand, so now people feel like they're coming in. It's kind of like when Ralph Lauren came out with Polo Sport.
Or who was it? Maserati? Not Maserati. Somebody did it recently.
Or the Giabli. There was a Maserati,
Right.
yeah. Makes me feel very weird about that car. So I'm wondering, does this work out for Ford? Do they really need enough? I mean, I know Americans are still obsessed with SUVs. The SUVs are selling great right now. Ford F-150 is definitely a highly selling truck, reliable truck. Does this work out?
I don't think it's necessary.
They got rid of all their cars. They doing only SUVs, trucks, and the Mustang.
Right, because they had to do everything based off of compliance, but this isn't a compliance car.
Right.
So
So
if
I
you look
guess
at their
maybe they
lineup-
feel like maybe Mustang fans have families and they want their Mustang feel in a family car.
From a marketing aspect, that makes a lot of sense. So if you're the dad that can no longer have the two-door coupe,
Right. But
this
you
is
want
your
that
alternative.
same.
And you can't afford a
experience.
Tesla.
Right. Get you the Mustang
Definitely
SUV.
gonna have a.
That's what I would say the angle is. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
I like that though. So we're here. SIPS is a great identification of somebody taking something and building their brand. And our end of the year discussion isn't going to be as depressing or as bad as the other ones last time, but kind of want to talk about it. Like, Toya, what is your brand? Like, what's the new brand? What do people need to be focusing on for 2020? Because I think 2019, from what I heard from most people, was definitely not the response I got from 2018.
In what way?
2019 seemed to be very challenging to a lot of people. I never heard about Mercury in retrograde so much in my life. Like, I
Because
feel
it
like
was a bitch.
Mercury in retrograde happened like 4 times this year. It was like,
It does that all the time.
well, why didn't nobody ever talk about it in 2018?
Because I think, well, one, trending now is like astrology and sort of like magic is very trendy now. So you're seeing a lot more conversations.
Did you just say magic?
Yeah. So like if you're in that space, like tarot readings, people do it all the time on like YouTube. And that whole like, you have brands that are coming out with makeup palettes that are all about crystals and magic and fairies and things like that. So that realm is becoming a lot more mainstream.
So it's not because people are woke. It's because it's a marketing trend.
It's trending. So the idea of Mercury retrograde, people who weren't already into astrology are now becoming aware of it. So now it's Mercury in retrograde, you know your computer ain't gonna work well, or don't sign them contracts. Like that's what it's kind of becoming. But it's nothing new. Mercury retrograde, it happens all the time, just because of the way the planet moves.
So if these things are building your brand, is the basis now of building a brand going to be based off of authenticity or trends?
It should be authenticity, because if you want to be long lasting, if you're into longevity, you need to be true to who you are, because trends are going to come and go. So if you're basing anything, if you're just trying to be a flash in the pan and make some quick money, then that's one thing. But if you want a business and not a get rich quick, you need to be based in authenticity, because you need to be authentic to who you are.
But I don't see a lot of people doing that. I feel a lot of people, I mean, like again, like I said,
But maybe that's why it don't really work.
so many Mercury in retrograde posts. Like I should pull the metadata of hashtag. Actually, I'm gonna do that while we're talking. If I do hashtag Mercury in retrograde, I just have a feeling it's gonna be an overwhelming response of people that all of a sudden that was their thing. Like that
Right.
was their go-to excuse for anything that was going wrong in their life.
Right. But that's, like I said, that's because too you have like a growing witch population in social media too.
Which?
Yeah. A lot of people are tapping into more like occult sciences and that element, right? So when you talk about like astrology, tarot reading, that's been something that's been kind of taboo because a lot of the U.S. experience has been very much based in Christianity. But now you're having people who are exploring other spiritual systems. So there's a whole witching thing that's happening. It's a subset of the population that you're seeing with women in social media, and it tends to be more millennial. They buy crystals, they have tarot decks, all this kind of stuff, and they talk about it, and they do readings on YouTube.
So I'm gonna have to tell you, I didn't know this.
You could get your whole astro calendar each week if you follow certain people on YouTube,
If
and
we
they'll tell
weren't-
you what's happening. Today is a full moon.
Well, you
Next-
know what? My massage therapist did say that she had somebody that came to her, and now they're doing like these readings of. She's telling people like what like their dead parents have said to them or aunties and stuff like that. And I was like, she was like, it's all online, but she's getting $50 to $75 a reading.
Yeah.
So this is what happened to Christianity.
I think is what's happening to where people are no longer feeling as if religion is the end all be all, that you can sort of find out where you fit and what resonates with you on a spiritual level. It's all spiritual practices. And the idea of witching has been like taboo because it's been something that, you know, they were persecuted. They were sought after and sort of pushed to the outer realms of living. But now you have it where that's interesting. And people like to kind of know what's going on when you tap into metaphysical understandings.
So I know a lot of you guys might be like, well, what does this have to do with business?
Listen,
Trends.
people making money.
Right.
People are making money.
If you're not being attentive to what things are people are doing. So when Mercury in retrograde became a thing, I could see people doing like little healing sessions or
Exactly.
escape the grade, you know, whatever they were going to do. There's so many little things that you could add to it. You can put them right up here.
That is pretty.
Not going to be able to give a shot because it's hot. That's interesting. And actually, as we're talking, my massage therapist just hit me up and said, I hope you're feeling better.
See, look at that.
Maybe she's
You are
tapped in.
aligned with the universe.
It's kind of scary.
Mike said something about
Right.
y'all.
See, Google works on a spiritual level too.
All right. So the new brand is definitely going to be authenticity.
Absolutely.
So I was watching something last night, which I thought was very interesting. As Alicia is watching it with me, and she said, "This is boring. I don't understand why we're watching this." But
Watching what?
So I was watching Totally Ralph, the documentary on Ralph Lauren.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
And so Ralph Lauren, they was talking about how basically all he did was take the 4 things in life that he loves and turn it into a lifestyle. So it was like basically family, being a cowboy, polo, and like cinematic. He's a very cinematic person. I guess if you guys don't remember.
What do you think about his photo shoots?
Yeah.
And the
His photo
photography?
shoots and his advertisement. His advertisement with no words. It was like these little micro movies of this lifestyle. Either a family was living or someone was living, which I'm totally going to take that for next year. And anybody that's paying attention should do the same thing. But I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? That's kind of how I feel about Timeline. Like, I didn't want to make a beer just because I wanted to make money and because craft beer was a thing. I remember my grandfather drinking beer when he was barbecuing. I remember my uncle sitting around drinking beer before a football game or on a Saturday evening when they was outside playing music and seeing who had the loudest bass or whatever. And like, it was a culture thing. So, but now I'm like, I got to capture that on film. I got to find a way to express that because it's not just craft beer. It was like, we did have certain beers to drink when we were barbecuing versus when you were doing the fish fry versus when you were trying to get drunk. Like it was because certain things didn't taste good, but they'll get you there. But it was a lifestyle. So beer was more so a nostalgic thing for me. And that's why I got back into beer because it made me think about my uncle, my favorite uncle, Uncle Greg. So do we have that authenticity when it comes into building brands? Because to me, I feel a lot of people are still doing stuff just off of marketing aspects, right?
Right.
So it's not authentic to them, but it's an easy way for them to say, hey, if I do it this way, if I sell, because the way I'm about to sell, people might not relate to it. But it's the
you'll
people
speak
that
to the
do
people
relate.
that right. Exactly. And I think especially when you talk about small business, that's what really is key. And I know for me, so when it comes to cosmology, I felt like this has been a really like tremendous growth year for me because I've kind of come to realize that the brand is me and I am the brand, right? And when you kind of do that, then you kind of allow yourself to kind of come out of the shell and stop trying to do marketing speak.
Yeah.
And just be honest and true with who you are and live in the moment. So kind of going back to what we were just talking about with like the crystals and everything like that, when you talk about the word cosmology. So people be like, oh, you mean like cosmetology? And it's like, no, I'm talking about the cosmos. I'm talking about stars. I'm talking about metaphysical
So this witch
stuff.
thing has helped you out.
No, but and I read an article and it was like, that's true. And I was just like, that's kind of like an aspect of who I am. So instead of me, because I never talk about that stuff.
Right.
But instead of me trying to always be like, you get this piece of me, you don't see all of this, then that sort of becomes a level of resistance in the business to where I'm not able to truly express the business because I personally
That makes sense.
am blocking aspects of myself.
You know what? I think I went through the same thing because, like, when I was watching that documentary and just thinking about it, like, I'm used to pissing people off, right? I'm used to not fitting in. Like, I ran in silos. Most of my friends now were the same friends I had when I was 8 years old. But I definitely don't feel like I've been authentic to the brand to the point where I'm pushing. Like, it's almost like you want to push some people away because if you don't really accept it, this isn't for you.
You become too vanilla.
Right. And so a lot of people are like, you know, but what I remember growing up on is I grew up on a lot of historical elements. Like, yeah, I was raised in, because like Alicia picks at me about this. She's like, no, you grew up in Panama City. Actually, I didn't. I went to school in Panama City. The way my family was, we almost went home to Alabama every weekend. Right. So that's actually how my friendships became restrained because
you were always kind of
I was always
between.
gone. Right. So I was always in Alabama, but the city I was born in is named Bruton. So you think about brewing beer, like the city is named Bruton. Like there's a distillery there. Moonshine was a part of our life. Murder Creek, which is a historically known creek for like where they were actually taking slaves and killing them and stuff like that. So it's a lot of stuff that you, like you said, you kind of block it off, and it's like, but if I was actually to film the commercial, my commercial isn't sitting on South Beach drinking with people. My commercial is going into the woods. Somebody with a radio, somebody with a steel barrel grill, and just sitting out there till the mosquitoes eat you up so much it's time to go home. But that's the lifestyle. Like that's what I want to bring to Junction 20 because that was my safe zone. And so I think right now that challenge of, oh, well, and we always say this, like you want to be unapologetically whatever. But you always have the thing, well, if I push people too far. But that was one of Ralph's things. He pushed people. This is who he
or
was.
If I expose myself, now I'm vulnerable. And for people to judge me, and then how do you respond to that? And I think what we're basically talking about is that if
judge
you
me
don't,
as I'm rich.
that too. But if I don't sort of own who I am, then there's nothing for you to respond to because now I'm just giving you what I think you want. Instead of just being who I am, and those who want to come and be a part of my tribe.
And so we was talking about it like, why a timeline? I was like, because everything in my life was always based off of history. Like when I talked to my parents, it was always, you know, this in reference to. Everything I learned had a reference point.
Exactly.
So I was like, well, I want to do that with beer. Let me teach people about history. It would make it fun. So that's why and the name was Timeline. So why do I need to have a name? The year is the name of the beer. Whatever year that was, here go 3 facts. That's why it tastes this way. And so I do believe a lot of people need to take those risks again to be authentic. Because we had that with a certain age of hip hop. People were very authentic and raw. We had that with certain clothing. People were very authentic and raw. But I think we've lost that edge with a lot of things.
Exactly. And even to that point, when I was thinking about like crystals and stuff, I had to remember that when I was little, like I used to collect them. So it's not as if this is something that's new for you. It's something that's always been a part of me. So, you know, I think overall as an entrepreneur, a lot of it, especially when you're a small business, so much of it is tied to who you are. And you have to be okay with that and not try to like make something, because then it's going to be a house of cards and people are going to see through it and know that that's not, and no one's going to be able to respond to anything.
And the funny thing is, like, I remember we went 8 years, maybe 9 years at Medium 4, where we never had our name, never had a picture of us. Because we didn't want people to know, because first of all, we didn't design like typical black designers back then. Everybody would see our stuff and be like, oh, y'all design like the white. No, we designed clean. And both of us Dante went to SCAD, I went to North Carolina State University. Like, we went to high-end schools. We learned the art of designing to actually tell a story. But we didn't want to get cornered. So we was like, even though the name Michael Hall can fit,
Right.
Dante ain't gonna fit. So it was,
And not that last name. How you pronounce that?
it was like people don't know this, but Dante recently just started becoming the face in the front and pitching more than me, because it was like, let them see Michael Hall first. Mm-hmm. Let's go with that. So at least we can get in the door. And we would get in the door, and it was, but I was Michael Hall with dreads, so that became a problem. It was like, oh, who's the weed smoking guy that's about
Right.
to come in here?
You
and
smell
pitch
like patchouli?
right.
Right.
And so I was like, we can't win. And then it was just like, we didn't care no more. We're good. It doesn't matter what you ask for. We're going to be able to design it. But I think this year has been a year of challenging myself to say, who am I?
Exactly. I agree.
And I don't know if it's
100%.
the turn of a decade, and maybe that's what should happen when you're going into because you got to think we've defined the 2000s and 10s and the teens. Like, so what's going to define the 2020? And it sounds so cliche, but like 2020 is seen as an element of clarity, right?
Yeah.
But people don't realize the best vision is 2010.
Right.
2020 is not your best vision. That's not
Right.
true. So
And then when you talk about 2019 becomes a 3-year, and 3 is all about creation. So I think to that point, a lot of us are kind of in this same place where we're trying to reconnect with who we are and break free from the constraints that we put on ourselves, thinking that we had to be something to fit in, be something to make money, be something to like fit this box that we were told we had to fit in, because now we're creating our own.
because my life is barbecue, art, and music.
And
That's
you
who
need
I
to be
am.
it.
And that's what I need to convey. 'Cause
Exactly.
Like, that's just me. If I can't do, like, I know why I'm frustrated. I haven't painted all year. Haven't created any. Well, I've painted a couple of things, but we used to create, like, first of all, you got to understand, some of our customers would never know the value of what we gave them. But a lot of our customers in our early years used to get hand-drawn logos, not the stuff we doing now where we taking icons from free websites. We used to sit there and Dante would be like, okay, you got it? I'm talking about sitting there with pen and paper, having to scan it in and then retrace it because we couldn't afford a Wacom tablet. So we were giving $20,000, $30,000 logos to people that was only giving us $500, $700. And it's like, but that was what made us us. And we started shortcutting it because it was like, oh, well, if y'all ain't going to pay us, we going to take the shorter route. But we are now missing the bigger clients because we don't have that authenticity anymore.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people that's listening, I think this year's brand, or if it was up to, what's your new brand? What are you doing
What's
for
your
2020?
What's your mantra for 2020?
Authenticity can't just be a word. It has to really be you.
You have to like feel it in your core.
And I
and
will
live
keep Kanye's music as our background music on our conference line because everybody be like, that was the most amazing song I ever heard for her whole music. Uber conference, you can upload your own MP3. Like, that's one step of being you. Have your own music.
Exactly.
So, Profit Puppies. What can we build this year, or what do you think is going to be the thing to build that will sell off? So you had like Harry's, Dollar Shave Club, Bix bought them out. Kylie Jenner just sold her makeup to the other company, that Cody that owns Maybelline. And so what do you think is going to be the 2020 thing of the company you build and the thing you sell? What do you think that's going to be? Besides cosmology being $1 billion.
Listen, we doing big things in 2020. But so hair, right? So hair businesses. What's her name? She's a influencer out of London and out of the UK, and she just raised $1.5 or $2 million for hair extensions. Hair extensions is huge.
So would this be like hair extensions? Is this because they can still hear us, I can't stop. Is this hair extensions with guess I should say, is this hair extension with direct sales?
Yeah. So the name of the company is Rad Swan. Are we still going? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so the name of the
It's not
company.
audio, but the battery died.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, so the name of the company is Rad Swan, and I'm trying to remember her name. I want to say it's like Freddie. I'm pulling it up in a second.
So we got hair for one.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty huge. And I believe there's other people who are selling hair. A lot of people are selling hair. You have small people selling hair, and you have like Kinky Curly Yaki. She's been around for a while. But now I believe Rad Swan may be the first company to raise money to do it. So she's in the UK and she's actually selling. She's not selling human hair. She's selling synthetic hair because she was just saying it's more conscious and socially aware to do that versus human hair. When you know the story of human hair and how
Right.
it's sort of farmed and then packaged and shipped to you, you kind of have some reserves about using it. So she's focusing on synthetic hair. And so I'm totally
Now, is
interested to
Maven
see how
still
it
around?
works.
The
Yeah.
one, I wonder how they're doing.
Yeah, Maven actually, they've been doing a lot of ads. I think it's on YouTube where they're you buy the hair and then you could take it someplace to like maybe an authentic person, like somebody that's a part of their system, and they'll install it for free. I believe it's Maven.
Sounds so weird to hear you talk about like installing hair into a human. I get what you're saying. But
Yeah, they'll sew it in, weight it up, however you need to.
hey man,
install.
you bought your part so you can install this. I need them 22s put on. 22 inches.
But yeah, I believe it's Maven that's doing that.
Okay, so you're saying hair.
And especially when you just think about, right, so black women, business owners, black women as consumers, we spend a lot on hair and beauty. So,
Okay.
But what's your thing? What do you think gonna be the next thing to pop?
I'm going to say self-sustaining communities.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is large spaces where you can pretty much get multiple things taken care of without ever having to leave that space or without needing a car. So somewhere where you can go to the movie, go grocery shopping, do some kind of indoor, outdoor activity, maybe not more retail, but maybe like some Amazon locker so you can order your stuff and pick it up before you leave the location. Go dine at more of a less of a chain restaurant. So imagine like a food hall, kind of like what we're trying to do with Junction, but like food halls with casinos and housing all wrapped into one. So kind of
So like what we were talking about when how to repurpose malls.
Yes, I think cities and communities are going to do that because you got to give people a reason to live in a smaller space and live on top of each other, but have a justification for it. So if I had a Starbucks, some one-off restaurant, a gym, possibly a church. I know we got more people into the stars and everything, but possibly a church, and all that was in one location.
Right.
And then I had maybe because it's an apartment, I don't want my stuff out, but there were some Amazon lockers. If I could do all of that within a 4-block radius,
Yeah.
to me, that's where millennials are going. So you have to start thinking. So it's kind of like bringing a New York lifestyle and
Right.
plopping it into southern cities.
Right.
Especially places like Atlanta where you don't want to drive somewhere that's 6 miles away because it's a 30, 40-minute drive.
And then making
because
it
of the
more
traffic.
affordable too.
Right.
So you're kind of starting to see it even down here in Miami in a different sort of way, right? So along the Metro rail line going south, you're having condo buildings being built like literally next to the Metro rail tracks. And that's all to sort of facilitate commuters, make traveling easier, encourage taking public transportation because we know people don't take public transportation in South Florida unless they really have to. And just to make it more walkable. So even like in the Grove, you have, so downtown Coconut Grove is somewhat of a village feel. And then right at the Douglas Road Station, they're building up this building to kind of make it easy. And then now you have Freebie, you have the trolley that can then take you from the station or your house and into the city center, so you don't have to walk and drive as much anymore. So I think you're gonna, to your point, you're gonna start to see a lot more of that where areas or neighborhoods work better together, and you don't have to always drive 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get what you need.
And I think when I say when you try to package that up and sell it, it's going to come down to a lifestyle. So basically, and not to try to plug them or anything, it's kind of like the anti-social social club. So how do you sell a social lifestyle to people that have become antisocial or have inadequate social skills because they're always in their phone? Well, it's a lot easier if you put people into a close proximity where they have to bump into people just to do basic things.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I need to go get my food, got to go get my Amazon stuff, need to hit the gym real quick, and I'm hungry, and I'm walking in this pattern, I'm bound to bump into somebody that's walking to the same patterns versus just your job. And with more people working at home, like for me, sometimes I go places not because I need to, just because I need to get out the house.
Yeah, that's like me. Yesterday I was working at Sunset Place and they was filming a movie, and I was like, oh, look at that.
So just getting, so I think lifestyle brands are going to come back, but it's what kind of lifestyle do you sell? And it's kind of like how Instagram went into the Airbnb, when they had like the tour guys, when we stayed somewhere, the experience of the neighborhood.
Yep.
I think that's actually going to become how people start, if they're smart. City planners will almost start planning their cities to fit these experiences, where it's like, oh, we're going to give you everything right here. So you can take all your pictures, get all your Instagram photos, get all your little stories to tell everybody, but you're going to do it in our city, and that's how we're going to make our money.
And I think that also requires people to push back on developers, because developers like to come in and just skyrocket the prices, Wynwood, to where it loses its like authenticity, right? It's no longer an authentic experience. Like, for those who have been in Wynwood 7 years ago, Wynwood, at the beginning when they were having like the art walks and stuff, it was a completely different experience. You mainly had creatives, photographers, and the galleries used to actually have free wine.
And the wine was still free. Yes.
Right. It was the best thing. And it was not packed, and it wasn't people driving down Northwest 2nd trying to be seen.
And every once in a while, somebody would actually buy art.
Right. It was really, really great. And then, once the money comes in, then the whole thing changes. And now I barely even go to Wynwood anymore.
I cringe going through there because I remember what it was. I remember going there and feeling like, oh, I got to go home and create. I got it. Now it's like, oh, I got to go home and wash this off of me.
It used to be so much fun. So much fun.
So do you feel like places like Sistrunk, Overtown, do they have the opportunity and the capability of bringing that kind of lifestyle back? Because a lot of stuff historically is based around a culture that's been whitewashed away. And things have just been, and I'm not saying even whitewashed in race, like just like the authentic roots of certain things have gone away.
Yeah.
How do you bring those things back to build those communities?
I mean, honestly, it requires a lot of looking inward and not outward for your own solutions, right? So not waiting for someone else to be like, this is how we going to fund this.
Right.
Let's pull our resources together. If it means like ourselves. 10 people, like let's do the storefront. You got an idea? We'll back you. You do it. Boom. Make some money. Do it again. And looking at, people love to talk about how immigrant families work, right? One person does a nail shop. Everybody working a nail shop, make money. Next one opens. And it just continues to do the same thing. We've lost some of that just because of, from a population perspective, we've been so assimilated to this experience to where we no longer are collective in the way that we move and how we operate, to where everything is like, I got to do it by myself. And then you find that shit is hard as hell.
That was another thing when Ralph Lauren said a lot. It's never about him, it's about his team. And we definitely don't have enough collaboration down here. I don't see enough collaboration to make the greatness we want to make. And people need to understand you can't be everything. And if you have to be everything, make it small enough that you can actually control that everything. So when we get in these streets.
In these streets, is the guilt trip over? So in a press release that was sent out on Monday, the Chick-fil-A Foundation announced that they will have a more focused giving approach, as the foundation has set aside now $9 million for 2020 that will be split between 3 initiatives: promoting youth education, combating youth homelessness, and fighting hunger. Those funds will be distributed to Junior Achievement USA, Covenant House International, and local food banks in cities where the chain opens new locations. However, the press release did not mention one of the biggest changes to Chick-fil-A's philanthropic giving plan, which is, in 2020, the chain won't give any money to charities that take an anti-LGBTQ stance. So that's huge because, as we know, we've talked about it a lot of times, how people started to sort of boycott. There's been a lot of pushback and a lot of criticism of Chick-fil-A because of what they've done and have not done in the space. So in an interview with real estate publication BizNow, Chick-fil-A's president and CEO Tim Tassopoulos made it clear that the company's new donation strategy is at least partly related to the constant backlash Chick-fil-A has faced over its donations. LGBTQ rights group like GLAAD says that the Monday news is a step in the right direction for Chick-fil-A, but they have a long road to go because they're still far from being inclusive. So for those who completely divorced Chick-fil-A and was like, pause, I'm not doing you right now, you may be able to go back and get your chicken nuggets with the barbecue sauce and honey mustard. That could be in your future soon. That's what's going on in these streets.
Are they gonna open up on Sundays?
No,
End of discussion.
They're not.
Everything else they're gonna do is they should have been doing it.
it's
anyway.
hilarious because when you drive on the highway, because Chick-fil-A, especially down south, they're usually at the rest stops,
Right.
Or with the exits, and it always be like closed on Sunday. Don't get it twisted. We close on Sunday.
Still hungry.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, Burger King it is.
You always disappointed too. I don't want this.
All right.
All right. So speaking of whitewashing, let's talk about Hollywood. Little entertainment part. Actually, before we get into the everybody that's going in on Summer Walker and with her, I forgot, she has like I guess an anxiety thing, or she doesn't like to be around people. She kind of freaks out. That's her life. If she wants to make music and not tour, make music and don't tour. I know it's a hard thing when you have to make music, but you have to tour to make money. But you don't have to do meet and greets. I believe this was something that was mismanaged by her management team. If you know she has those kind of problems, you shouldn't force her to be around people or be that close to people.
Yeah.
That was kind of selfish on the behalf of the labels.
Especially in this digital age. Like, be smart. Do something creative.
Yeah,
Have her do a concert and then just stream it.
You could have VR'd her whole life and let people you could have did anything but what y'all made her do.
And it's interesting. Pause really quick. Because what
ahead.
was I listening to? I was listening to somebody and they were talking about how introverts have not been allowed to be themselves and are oftentimes pushed to be extroverts, which is not authentic to who they are. That's inauthentic to who they are. And it forces them to sort of shut down because they're not able to operate in a space that they feel comfortable.
Which is why we did a free lunch at a time when we knew a lot of y'all couldn't get off of work. But lunch is free.
But yeah, so and it's interesting because if
Wait,
for them
well, I
to do
mean, hold
that-
up. Jessica did show up, so Jessica's lunch is free. So Jessica gets her lunch for free.
So yeah, that's interesting that they did that. But go ahead.
So Hollywood whitewashing. Last week we talked about some of the criticism of the film Harriet. Imagine what the response and criticism would have looked like if Harriet was played by the pretty woman herself, Julia Roberts.
So was that true?
First
I
of
saw
all,
the memes.
First, David sent this to me. Then the lawyer Alicia confirmed it and sent it to me. So I guess this was really a thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Listen.
You got to sip all that tea. Just finish the whole.
No,
Finish the,
you finish.
Screenwriter Gregory Allen Howard recently gave an interview about the 26-year journey towards getting this movie on screen. I didn't know it was taking 26 years.
Wow.
That means this started when I was 14 years old. Just imagine that. I'm in the 10th grade when they're trying to get this movie made. Apparently, things could have gone completely different. Howard learned that during the early discussions, a studio head said, and I quote, "The script is fantastic. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman."
See, this is why Elizabeth Taylor played Cleopatra.
See
And
this?
y'all could sit there and say Cleopatra was half Roman, whatever. Either way.
And y'all thought I was bad by saying, TT, I need that beer now.
And people still think Egyptians are like Caucasian because of that.
Not because Egypt isn't Africa or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I want a beer. Yeah. Anyone
Egyptians
that's
are
good, strong.
European. No, they're not. Sorry.
So someone suggested that
They're
Roberts...
not Arab either.
African.
Right. The originals. Stop it.
Someone suggested that Roberts could not play the role, and the executive responded, "It was so long," I'm sorry, and I quote, "It was so long ago, no one is going to know the difference."
See? Watch. In 4020, MLK is going to be white.
So I just want you to understand
And from
this
Germany.
conversation did take place in the 90s, and things were arguably different in the 90s than it is now. Now, understand we're still talking about the 90s and not 1890. We're talking about 1990 when they were having this conversation. We know that the old refrain used by Hollywood execs to maintain a white cast, movies with black actors don't sell or hard to market, no longer flies, but we have a few questions that we want to ask the general public that's engaged with us for the end of the season show. Who was this executive, and is he or she still an executive today? I'm going to go with a hard yes.
Absolutely.
Probably received multiple
And be
promotions during
shutting
that
down
time
black
frame.
films all the time. Nope, sorry.
So I'm gonna go with that one. I'm sorry, Tamila. We'll still buy you lunch. And what do you think the tension felt like in the room that day when he said it? I'm gonna go with a hard 85% said that's probably a good idea. We'll just give her a really hard 10.
Right.
I'm just wondering what was she supposed to look like? Like, were we just supposed to forget that it was slavery and that Harriet Tubman was black? Like,
No, because then they're going to hit you with, well, white people were slaves too.
and how far, I can't even respond to that. I'm sorry. How far has Hollywood truly come? Do they still hold beliefs like this? Yes, they do. I mean, because they were mad when Miles was in Spider-Verse. Because, Spider-Man's supposed to be white.
Right.
Like, Peter Parker couldn't be a black dude.
Yeah. That just continues to show how far we have not come. Not how far we've come, how far we have not come.
I just want y'all to let that soak back in. Harriet Tubman was suggested to be played by, and this is nothing against Julia Roberts, because I'm assuming they didn't call her and tell her this. And I'm assuming if they called her and told her this, she was like, nah.
I so want to know what her response is today, because those memes are circulating, and I know she's seen them.
That ain't good.
I know she's seen them.
Yeah, after that comment, I'm gonna need that TT. Yeah, that was hard. Harriet Tubman, guys. I'm letting that soak in. I'm not pausing on purpose. I really want that to sit.
Right. So, because of the internet, what are they saying on the Facebooks?
So we got some googly eyes.
And I feel like that's probably what was in the room too. What?
One of our alumni said, "Let her play Pretty Woman. She'll be better. She'll start the project now." And then Tamila said, "We have a very long way to go," and I agree. We have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But I heard they're going to do a hip hop documentary, and they're just going to put everybody, and Eminem is just going to play the whole cast.
I'm going back to my fantastic and delicious chai latte with almond milk. It's great.
Oh, so some breaking news.
And it's brown too, y'all. Look, it's
brown. It was good though. That latte was great. I'm hearing in the tech world that we're going to have a Black Woman Talk Tech chapter in Miami.
Black Women Talk Tech?
Black Women Talk Tech.
Nice.
It's going to be down here in Miami. We're going to have a chapter. They come from New York.
Okay.
But we're going to have a chapter down here in Miami.
Very cool. Well, I have an announcement.
Oh, go ahead. You having another baby?
No. No. He's turning 3 tomorrow, though. Happy early birthday.
Oh, happy birthday,
Pooh.
Taco.
My little Scorpio. They know they be
Lord,
crazy.
that's drama.
Yeah. No, but Black Girl Ventures is coming to Miami.
Wow.
Yeah, so Shelly Bell started Black Girl Ventures. Of course, she's out of D.C. And myself and 4 other fabulous young ladies are starting a chapter here. So look out for that. More details to come. But that's going to be super exciting. We're going to be doing some pitch competitions and a lot of good stuff to empower Black and brown women. And what's really cool is that the events sort of bridge pitch competitions with crowdfunding. So the crowd, those who are attendees, get to donate to the businesses that pitch. And so everybody kind of walks home with money, which is a really good thing.
So we're going to answer a couple of questions that we've had throughout the year. Yes, Junction 2027 is still coming. It's called the City of Miami government. We can't force the plans to get reviewed any faster, so we're working on that. Yes, Timeline Brewery is still coming. We have our first 3 flavors, and we're working on our collaboration, so they'll be in different breweries and distilleries. So we still don't have our location because, once again, the City of Miami has to approve all those plans. But the first one is 1959. So the historical element of 1959, we talked about it on the show. That was when Kinda Blue was released by Miles Davis. So if it's Kinda Blue, you can imagine what the flavor. Yeah, it was great. So not just the beer. We're talking about the album too. So that's going to happen. And other than that, yes, Digital Grass, Medium 4, Cosmology, all of us will be working, but we're taking a long, hard break because we know that we have a big year coming up.
Absolutely.
We have a crazy year coming up, and the year is going to be very, 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 very big. So, am I on? Hold on. Why don't you just do somebody needs to hear this before you do that? So, this is what you know is the end of the year. Dante got batteries running out. He distracted. I mean, it's running out because you didn't have this on. Yeah, it works too. So, I think this is a perfect segue. Wait, let me let Dante go drop in my graphic. To Someone needs to hear this.
Oh, always a good time.
All right.
Like the Mercury retrograde.
It's over.
It's actually over.
Can't blame
But
it on that.
we're in the shadow period, so you got some wiggle room.
You know what? Someone needs to hear this. Guys, as entrepreneurs, business owners, just humans in general, it's okay to tell yourself and to tell the world that you need to take a break. Recently, I made a small announcement on Facebook that stated that I was going to take a break for 45 days. Now, what does that break mean as far as social media? Just pretty much means I won't be arguing, responding to a bunch of ignorance and engaged as much, besides the people that I know that are truly friends and we share. It doesn't mean I'm totally off of Facebook, but I pretty much look at who I need to respond to and certain people that always share good news. Pretty much my first followers. Once I get past that, I get off of Facebook. I go back to painting, doing something in the garage or doing something outside. Now, why did I need this break? Because I'm tired. All right, we've been running this business since 2006. I've never taken more than 2 weeks off at a time, meaning I've never had 14 days consecutive where I did absolutely no business. In retrospect, I've never had more than 5 days consecutively where I've never did any business, and that probably only happened 5 or 6 years ago when me and Dante probably bought in the most money we ever made in 1 year, and we actually took a Christmas break and we forced each other not to call each other to talk about business that was still coming via email. And we actually changed our passwords at that time and turned our phones off. It's probably one of the best times of my life. Now, this is what happens. You have business partners, you have friends, you have changes in life, you have growth and development, and you really have to take the time to sit back and reflect. Now, a lot of people might think, because I've seen some people do it and I've said the same thing, like, did you really need to make that announcement? I didn't make the announcement because it was like, ooh, I'm about to take 45 days off and you can't. I made the announcement to let other entrepreneurs know everybody struggles. Everybody goes through something. Everybody needs a time to reinvent themselves, gather themselves, collect themselves, and just be alone. Especially some of us entrepreneurs that are introverts that are forced, as Toya said, to be extroverts because we got to communicate with people. We got to be out there. That can be very draining on us. Most of the time, everybody on this set, after we do this show, we go and hibernate for the rest of the day because you put a lot of energy into it. But more than anything, 13 years and never having more than 30 days off is draining. Most of the time when I'm out of town, on a honeymoon, had to fire a client. Like, always working, period, point blank. And so this is time to paint, to do things, to not answer the phone, to ignore people, just to enjoy life. But it's okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to need downtime. It's okay to admit that you need some time alone. And more than anything, it's okay to say no. A lot of my no's led to a lot of bigger yeses this year. You got to know who to bring on that plane with you. I gave this example to you guys, and I'm going to leave you with it for the end of the year. Once you start making a certain amount of money, you move from general to first class. Then you get off of first class and you go to a private jet. There's one thing you should know about a private jet. You can only take so much luggage with you. You can only take so many people because you have to distribute the weight to the people and make sure the plane can at least take off. Think about what I'm saying. You can only take so many people and you can only take so much luggage. The less luggage, the more people. The more luggage, the less people. No matter what, you can only carry so much weight to get that plane off the fairway. So you gotta at least get up in the air. Now, when you land and what you do when you get there is up to you, but you at least gotta get away. So this is my takeoff. So we'll be back in January, and Toya will be here. And you'll see next year, we're gonna talk more about business. We're gonna talk more about how we integrate the technology into our business. What do these things mean in a business format? Because we're consultants. And we want you to see how we look at the world, because normally when we're bringing you this content, we started to realize the after show conversations were more dynamic than the on show because we were being authentic. Mm-hmm. So those authentic off air conversations with less cussing and less exposure of people, those will have to start coming live. So just want to put that out there and just say thank you for supporting us. Thank you to Gail at SIPS. And thank you to Digital Grass and Billion and Bus Media, which was our one partner. But thank you to Digital Grass for putting this whole season together because we did this on our own, self-supported,
That's
self-funded.
right. That's Mike.
That's Toya,
And this is Tech Beats and Bytes.